Hello and welcome back to the Not Old Firm YouTube channel. My name is Ben Banks with a second exclusive interview ahead of Scottish Cup final weekend between Hibs and St Johnstone, the first of which was with Patrick Craig. Had a short stint at Hibs, but perhaps better known for his time in the 2014 Scottish Cup winning squad with St Johnstone, so do check that out, that's already on the channel. Today's video is a wee bit of a trip down memory lane, definitely before my time, but very interesting nonetheless, with 1979 Hibs Scottish Cup finalist Jim McArthur. He played as a goalkeeper, obviously. Hibs fans know that all too well, being over 200 appearances for Hibs in a time where it was much harder to rack up that sort of number of appearances in one shirt. He kept 2 clean sheets in the 1979 Scottish Cup final and still didn't win it. So you do the math on that one, and Jim explains to us how that all worked back in the day. It's obviously a very different tournament and format to what we see now in the 2021 Cup final. So I hope you do enjoy. We're going to have an instant reaction to the final on the channel, so do subscribe so you don't miss that. And as well, on Sunday we'll have an exclusive interview with Motherwell hero Louis Moll as well, so that'll be on Sunday. But in the meantime, enjoy this chat with Jim. Hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and until next time, take it easy. Obviously, you've been over the course with Hibs in the Scottish Cup final previews before, I suppose. I think I was doing a bit of research this morning. I think the last one you did was 2012. Won't talk about that one, of course, but looking ahead to the 2021 final, a great opportunity for Hibs to potentially lift some silverware again.
Brilliant. I mean, the 2016 one was amazing. You know, when they came back from Rangers when they were losing, and then they came back and scored 2 goals and they won 3-2. Totally amazing. A fantastic day out. Fans were great, great atmosphere, and obviously they hadn't won it for so long. So that was a better day. And I mean, you'll know, I mean, you're a fan as well, that the COVID and lockdown, it's terrible because the crowds make it. It's pure theatre. I mean, you go away to the games early and you go in half an hour before the start, and it's fabulous. And then obviously if you win, it's great afterwards as well.
Yeah, I don't know if just with your job and things like that, if you've been able to get any sort of stadiums this year, but I've been to Easter Road probably just as much as any stadium this year, and it is proper. It'll be good to, well, not for fans for this one, but I think the playoff games this week are getting fans in, albeit Hibs, St Johnstone probably should as well. But it is proper eerie, it'll definitely make a difference on Saturday.
It's really funny. I mean, I can go as a scout. I can get into games, but just a few. But the ball doesn't seem to be in the box a lot because the fans will it to be in the box. There's a lot more of the game in midfield. The fans like the ball in the box. The goalies to be involved. It's just an eerie and strange game. Totally strange.
Yeah, I think we're looking forward to hopefully a bit of normality. I think I've seen before recording this, Hibs are playing Arsenal in a friendly, so that'll be probably the most bonkers way to come back to Easter Road, Darren McGregor.
Oh, that'd be great if you get fans in for that. That'd be fabulous.
Yeah. No, it's only friendly, but of course they sort of teams don't come about very often, especially in the modern game. In terms of your own sort of story with Hibs and the Scottish Cup friendly that isn't watching perhaps my age, and it was a wee bit before my generation's time, you sort of described a bit about your history with Hibs.
If you're talking about the cup finals as well, we'll talk about that first. The 79 cup final was 3 games, 2 replays, and I prefer it played to finish. I would have preferred it even then, because it's quite an anticlimax having to go back again, even though you're getting another game and another cup final. But we were 0-0, then 0-0 after extra time, and then we lost 2 after extra time. So, but I was telling a couple of boys, we got crowd bonuses, because we went 3 times and there was good crowds. So we got a bonus even though we just drew, and then went back and drew again. But we didn't really. The significance of the game wasn't as important as it became, with 100 years and hadn't won for so long. They built that up over my time. But then they didn't put as much significance on the game because we hadn't won it for so long. But I mean, it was fabulous playing in it. really enjoyed it. And unfortunately, Arthur scored the own goal. But when I was at Hibs, they had the high banking, and we had 40,000 at games. You know, the Hearts games, the Rangers Celtic games. We played Juventus, we played Leeds, we played Man United. Fabulous. Liverpool, absolutely full to the gunnel with fans, fabulous. And you know, just like we've said, the fans make it incredible.
Yeah, imagine playing. Football's very different, I suppose, from what it was in the 1970s. Lots of different aspects, but to even then have the chance to play, I mean, I can only imagine some of the names that were in the sort of Juventus team back then, and Manchester United, Leeds especially, were going really well at that time. Some of the names came up again.
Yeah, they were fantastic players, you know, the Keegans and John Toshak and Altafini at and Dino Zoff at Juventus, just amazing. Billy Bremner, Lorimer at Leeds, fabulous. And the game changed a bit because obviously it got faster, the ball was faster, but the skill level of the players in those days was fantastic. I'm not saying now, you know, skillful players, but yeah, it is different. But you know, just thinking there, and you haven't asked me a question about it, but St Johnstone, I can't, unless somebody can delve into the history, I can't remember playing St Johnstone in a cup tie. Not for Cowdenbeath, not for anybody. Played them in the league lots of times, but never played them in a cup tie. I can't remember playing them in a cup tie at all in my career. Amazing. And of course, you've got this cup final, and as you well know, St Johnstone beat Hibs in the final League Cup 3-0 quite comprehensively, and they beat them even when they changed their team and rested some of the players 1-0. So they seem to do quite well against Hibs. They've got a good set of boys. They've got some ex-Hibs boys, obviously, Weatherspoon and Liam Craig, Callum Booth, you know, and a lot of people call them journeymen, but no, I wouldn't call them that. I just think they're well-organised, strong players. It's got to be some game. It'll be a battle royale.
Yeah, no, it will be good. I think obviously Hibs are a bigger club than St Johnstone, but when you consider what both clubs have been through in the last 10 years, I mean, St Johnstone have finished in the top 6 every year, bar 2 or 3 since coming into the league, 2 trophies. Hibs, I mean, if you took that at Hibs, obviously that sort of success is expected at Hibs, but it's not quite. I think this year's the first time Hibs have finished in the top 3 since 2004-05. So St Johnstone are probably a good example, even for clubs like Hibs, of what can be achieved outside Celtic and Rangers these days.
You know, if St Johnstone win the 2 cups and they're in the top 6, well, what a season that is. That's incredible. And for Callum's, you know, his first season, it's just incredible. So it shows the organisation of the man and the fact that they've got really good players and you know, good goalie and people, and the boy Kerr, they've got some, you know, Kane up front. They've got really strong players. They've got a strong team throughout. And Rooney, of course, Rooney's great, strong player and good at set pieces. But then Hibs have got their team. They've rested a few. I mean, they'll be wondering who they're going to play, but it probably picks itself. Jack will probably go with the guys that he rested. You know, he'll play Nisbet and he'll play Doidge and he'll play Boyle, probably, you know, and the boys at the back, he rested Hanlon. McGregor played well, Porteous, so you have to leave one of them out probably. You know, and he's got Stevenson, you know, he could spell Doig, you know, but Doig will play surely. And then the goalie, you know, he's got Marciano, Macy, 2 good goalies. Probably Macy will play because he's been playing the cup ties. But it'll be intriguing. And I mean, the bookies can't split them. I think one of the things I saw was that the bookies said St Johnstone's slight favourites, very slight though, probably because on the past record against Hibs.
Yeah, I think in terms of the goalkeepers, it's an interesting one because Ovia Marciano's been so good for Hibs over the last 5 years, but it was pretty much Saturday was sort of billed as his farewell and things like that. Like it's already been written off that Matt Macy's probably going to start, but it's a nice option to have because from what I've seen of Matt Macy, he's fairly a number 2 brilliant, but he could probably step up to be number 1 next season, no bother.
It's just that's football, you know, like and perhaps Rocky would deserve, as you say, he's been a great servant and he's not getting maybe not getting to start in a cup final, really, really big game. And Macy's new to the club, and he is, but he's going to be there next year. And, it was like Conrad when he came. I mean, all these goalkeepers that never won the cup, and he came in and he wasn't there for very long, and he was a hero. We all know that he hit 3 1-on-1s against Dundee United, saved penalties. Amazing, because in the cup you need a bit of luck, as you know.
Yeah, I mean, all these goalies have all done very well in cup finals and stuff, but I doubt many have kept 2 clean sheets in a cup final.
There you go.
I know.
Nobody in a cup final.
And obviously,
never won.
I know, that's the thing. Like, I mean, it must have been absolutely fuming too. I mean, you're only really meant to play one game, obviously. I mean, I can imagine if they had 3 cup finals nowadays, there'd be anarchy in modern football. But to keep 2 cup clean sheets and stuff, I mean, you kept a clean sheet even in normal time in the third game. So, I mean, if you're not going to win it, then what's your chances?
It's just incredible, isn't it? It's just incredible. I remember we played Leeds. I told this story before. We played Leeds and it was 0-0 down there, UEFA Cup, and 0-0 up here, 0-0 after extra time, and then penalties we lost 5-4, and we came into the dressing room and John Blackley says, "You could have been a hero, Jim." I'm like, well, wait a minute. If somebody scored a goal, I might have been a hero, but that's just the way it is. You can't do it. You don't win the game in 0-0.
Yeah. No, I was looking at appearances as well. Over 200. I can imagine getting to 200 over 200 appearances then is a lot harder than it is now. Given you're playing 50, 60 games a season nowadays, to get to 200 back then, I mean, some achievement.
296. But your appearances was just over the 200. You're right. But yeah, I agree with what you're saying. I was there 11 years, and even with the injuries, I managed to get back in and play more games. But no, I agree. It's more difficult to play so many games. But look at Hanlon and Stevenson. Amazing. And you got to stay clear of injury as well, because that knackers up your chances of playing a lot of games, and especially consecutive games. But these 2 boys have been great stalwarts, I'd like to see Louis getting on the pitch sometime if they win it, and obviously Hanlon as well.
Yeah, it's going to be bizarre. I'm pretty sure Hibs, I mean, I doubt it will be the back 4 that lines up with the back 3 or whatever it plays. I know Jack will probably play Paul, Ryan, and the other Paul. But you could still line up with the defence that won the 2016 Cup final, which is bizarre.
It is bizarre, isn't it? Amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Which is, I mean, Dan McGregor as well, I suppose, out of I know Paul Hanlon will probably be the guaranteed starter out there. David Gray and Lewis Stevenson probably on the bench, but Dan McGregor in the last few weeks is rolling.
Last 2 weeks, as you say, has been great. Brilliant. And you'd be tempted to pick him, but there you go. Just the way it is. And then you rest players, and the players that come in give you a problem, but not really, because really the reason you rested them is so they don't get injured. You want to play them on the final. The boy in this bit seems to be carrying an injury or something. He's missed a few games, but I hope he's fine.
Yeah.
To go.
Now, I'm assuming you've also watched a fair bit of Hibs this season. Considering where they were, Jack, I think people forget that when Jack Ross took over, they were close to the bottom of the league. And to take them in 18 months to cup final, I think it's 3 or 4 consecutive semi-finals now, and they're going to be playing European football next season. Pretty decent progress in that. I mean, considering as well the game was shut down for 6 months.
Yeah, it's been awkward. I mean, Jack had a wee spell where they lost a few games, and the Hearts game, they lost to St Johnstone. So there was that, but he just ploughed through it, and obviously the players did really, really well. And the third in the league, it just speaks for itself. And if they could win the cup, that would make it a season, wouldn't it? It'd be a great season, because losing to Hearts in the cup and losing to St Johnstone, because obviously the cup was played this year, was hard to take. But no, they've just kept going, and he stuck to what he wanted to do, and fair play to him. It's fabulous.
Yeah. I know you've been involved in sort of the other side of football in terms of when it gets to the summer, it's busy period, and there's a few Hibs players, even as late as last night, there was a couple of players linked with moves elsewhere and things like that. I suppose the challenge for Jack now is going to be actually trying to keep a hold of the squad he's got, because there's going to be bids flying in, I would assume.
Well, that's what happens, because if you've done well, you do attract big bids. There's talk of Doig, with a young boy. For me, he should stay another year, but that's up to him. It's his career. He's got a bit to learn. You've got Nisbet, he's hardly been in Hibs, and again, he could progress to stay another year. Porteous has stayed a year, and maybe even another year, but these boys will attract interest, and obviously the Australian lad, he's the top guy Aberdeen. Well, fair enough, that's, and then Boyle. Well, if Boyle's on song, it can be unplayable. He's amazing, just with his pace, and if he's alert, that pace is so frightening for defences, and they get so much of Boyle. He's just a great player. But yeah, all of that. Sometimes it's hard for Jack when he's in the throes of this to keep it going. I know they've got a recruitment side and a side that are dealing with that. He's got people that can take that off his plate, and that's the modern game now. But it's difficult to keep all that going when all the rest's going, and especially this week. You don't want to be talking to players and being subjective. You don't want Jack involved in that. He's got enough to do winning the cup.
Yeah, because this week as well, I think they announced the partnership with Brighton, and the strategic partnership that will sort of see players from both sides, maybe Hibs players, young players going there, vice versa. They've got ones with Stenhousemuir and Charleston Battery as well. So, I mean, Hibs are very, very forward thinking in that respect. A lot of it comes for the owner, and I think Graham Matthew as well deserves a lot of credit. The amount of work he does that nobody sees is quite telling.
Well, they've got to have that side going, and it's great to have strategic partners, but the loan players just now, the clubs, there's a lot of loan players come up from England, and it's good for the clubs in England, it's good for the clubs up here. So, along with that, continue have a partnership's great as well. And about the Stenhousemuir, how they've got 3 or 4 of the Hibs lads down there. So, along with that, continue. It's good for the players, and there's not the reserve teams like there used to be. When I played, we used to have the reserve game was on at the same time at Easter Road as say Celtic were playing Hibs at Parkhead. So you'd get a crowd going down there, and would get the scores first from the away game. But you don't have that now. A lot of the young boys don't get games now here. It's terrible. There's no games. They try to organise bounce games. So the more playing time they can get, the better.
Yeah, it sort of helped. Jack spoke about that all season. Like, I think Ethan Laidlaw is one that's been talked about with clubs down south, and Murray Johnson, another young keeper as well. But for Josh Doig, if the reserve league was there, I suppose he's a bit of a different one. Would he still be playing first team football and things like that now? But Hibs have got a lot of youngsters there as well that would perhaps benefit from something like that.
Yeah, Ethan and Johnson are really good players. They're very young still, 16, 17. And also Josh O'Connor, another lad, Gary's son, he's a good player. He's on the fringes, and they've got 1 or 2 more on the pipeline, but you've got to watch that they don't get everything too early, into the first team too quick, and people pushing them and expecting huge antic things from them when they're just starting their career. But it's a good sign. It's a good sign. The academies have been in bad press, and when you get back maybe to the academies pushing more players through, and because Hibs Academy, look at it. We had to go around in a minibus trying to find a pitch to train on. Crazy for a club that size. But the academy at Hibs is fabulous. And St Johnstone, by the way, St Johnstone, a great academy, and they've got a lot of good players coming through, as you could see. And they put them in, and they've got Alistair Stevenson. We used to be up Hibs up there, and he's a great lad. Does a good job up there for them.
Yeah. In terms of yourself, obviously, playing days might be done these days, but you still sort of active football agency and things like that, or
Yeah, agency. That's 30 years. We get a lot of recommendations, a lot of players, and I've not got as many as I used to. because I've managed them, I've got 30 players for me at the moment, and obviously I'm a financial advisor as well, so I can do all the financial stuff for the players, but not just players, for private clients. I can do that as well. So get busy.
Yeah, without naming anybody, what sort of level are we talking about here?
Players.
Yeah, players wise.
Oh, well, a lot of young players that come to me for more help. But one of my players I've got just now is Ross Laidlaw. He was at Hibs, and just because goalie, I approached him to help him, and he's gone up to Ross County, and he's been fabulously well in the first team, and he's got the Player of the Year. He's helped him to stay up, and 6'4" Ross has got everything, and he could take another step easily, and maybe get involved in the Scotland setup. So guys like that, I've got 4 or 5 players at Dunfermline, Edinburgh City, quite local. It used to be that you go down to England all the time, but I tend to go more centrally, and it's great to have an interest. But as well as that, managers now phone you and ask you to get them a player. So it might not be your client. You don't have to manage all the clients, hundreds of clients. You could just be in the middle, because players down south, managers, and you've got the contacts, so you get involved in that.
Right. I know. Having spoken to Ross Laidlaw a couple of times this season, I know you're saying he's 6'4", but he must be about 6'8", because I'm about 5'10", 5'11", and he's a bit fit taller than me whenever you stand next to him.
No, he's taller. He's 6'4". He's 6'4".
I think we had him on a Zoom call at Ross County a few weeks ago, and literally Dale, the media guy there, had to lower the camera because I could only see his chin.
I know. And you see him when he comes for a cross, and sticks his arms up. He's just.
I was at the Ross County game on Sunday, and they stayed up in the game, like anything in that box.
Yeah.
Who it is, he's just out and he just walks into it. Really, it's a.
Yeah. If he starts moving his feet, it looks great, because there's no way he's not getting it. But Macy's 6'7". He's 6'7", so he's even taller. I mean, like you, I'm 5'10", 11. And the goalies, there are 1 or 2 exceptions, but the goalies are a lot taller. When I'm involved in England, if I'm talking to an English manager, they'll say, "What height's the goalie?" And I'll say, if I say anything below 6'4", no interested. You could be the best goalie in the world. You've got to be a certain height and good.
Yeah, definitely. In terms of the game on Saturday and this weekend, how do you see it going? It's going to be, I know I've alluded to it a wee bit, but it's going to be tight, I would assume, and it's probably not going to be like the one in January. I think both teams have probably came on a bit since then.
Yeah, but just me. This is just me. I mean, obviously they're going to have their systems, and we virtually know who they're going to play. I just feel that Hampden suits Hibs. I know I've lost there, but Boyle, just these wide open spaces, I think he's really dangerous. And I think if they get the ball to him and over the top, and I just think, but the first goal, like every goal, is so important. It's hard to come back from, but it's just too close to call. For me, there's no favourite. It is a true 50-50 for me.